The investigation this Tuesday night into the deadly Montreal shooting spree. What we're learning about the victims.
It's very sad that people die like this.
The gunman and his possible motives. Europe's dangerous heat wave, the tragic consequences, and the push for stronger climate action. Noisy nights, Calgary's rules to rein in the revelry at the Stampede.
I understand the right for people that want to party and have fun, but there's a time to end it.
And amplifying pressure from politicians trying to stop what they consider party pooping. Plus, serious goal-getters, the soccer stars making history at the World Cup.
Global National with Donna Friesen.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Police in 2 provinces are investigating that deadly shooting in Montreal on Monday that left 3 people dead, including a police officer and the attacker. 34-year-old Mohamed Lamine Benredouane was shot and killed. 68-year-old Michel Mizrahi was caught in the gun battle. He also died. A second officer was injured. They were responding to reports of a man with a gun. And today police revealed that man was a 25-year-old from Lethbridge, Alberta, who left behind a manifesto in which he expressed his hatred of women. We'll have more on that in a moment, but we begin with Mike Armstrong on the investigation.
A day after a nightmare, Montreal police are still on the scene, piecing together what happened. Investigators are gathering evidence right where one of their fellow officers was gunned down.
It's very sad.
Locals have been left shaken.
I mean, even though it's over, it's still unsettling.
The gunfire started just before noon. By the time it was over, a police officer was injured and another killed. A civilian was killed as well, and the gunman. The fallen officer is 35-year-old Mohamed Lamine Benredouane. He was a father of 1 with another on the way.
Somebody that didn't think twice about protecting Montrealers. And we can say thank you.
The civilian caught in the crossfire is Michel Mizrahi. The 68-year-old was a father of 3. One of his sons lives nearby.
I know Michel Mizrahi very well. And he was always here. He was very often around the area.
What is wrong with him?
Quebec's coroner is confirming the identity of the gunman. 25-year-old Seth Hatfield was from Alberta. Tuesday, Lethbridge police were at a home. They say they're assisting Montreal authorities with their investigation into the shooting. Now, just prior to the attack, the gunman sent out this document. It's titled Manifesto of June 22nd, Monday's date. We're only quoting limited sections for context. In its 104 pages, the writer echoes many of the familiar core grievances of the Incel movement, describing life for common or unattractive men as one of terrible loneliness, isolation, and social degradation. He calls for an unflinching rebellion and a bloodletting. Quote, arm yourselves with whatever weaponry you may acquire, and then go forth, storm into the palatial workplaces, the conferences, and the dwellings of our enemies, and eradicate all of the scum that you find there. Now, the word workplace may help understand the motive. The 6th floor of the building where the attack happened is the Global Operations Center and Canadian headquarters of one of the world's biggest online pornography companies. In the manifesto, the writer lists potential Class A targets for insurgents. Number 5 includes the headquarters of international pornography companies. Well, the company behind these windows is called ILO. Its employees were locked down for hours. It says no one was injured, and it won't comment on whether it could have been a target. Mike Armstrong, Global News, Montreal.
The 25-year-old who died carrying out the attack studied philosophy at the University of Lethbridge. Investigators are trying to understand what drove him to go to Quebec and whether any red flags were missed. Taria Isri reports on what more we know about that document he left behind and what it reveals.
The shooter did not describe himself in the manifesto as an incel, but his dark and delusional worldview bears many of the hallmarks.
It deplores what society has done to women in the perspective of this shooter and his basically plan for revolution to overthrow society and remake it.
The document is laden with incel ideology, calling for a new order and a global revolution. It decries the downfall of monogamy and highlights the need to get the female out of the workplace. Long before the term involuntary celibate, or incel, even existed, a man motivated by his hatred of women killed 14 women at École Polytechnique in 1989. But social media has intensified the problem with the rise of toxic male influencers and algorithms meant to exploit.
And we're very concerned about how boys and young men are groomed into these ideologies at younger and younger ages.
In 2018, a self-described incel killed 10 people in the Toronto van attack. Just last week, a parliamentary committee released a report warning of a spike in misogynistic rhetoric in the so-called manosphere.
We are seeing concerning expressions of hostility towards women alongside continued gaps in how our criminal justice system responds.
These online communities can promote unhealthy views of what it means to be a man and manifest into real-world violence.
So we need to have the conversations and make sure that, the people around us are not being brainwashed.
The new online harms bill is meant to address that by making social media companies more accountable and flagging abusive content. But there are calls for a broader approach to prevent young men from being radicalized in the first place. Donna?
All right, Taria Isri in Montreal, thank you. Record-breaking heat is still engulfing much of Europe. France has recorded the hottest day since record-keeping began, and major cities are taking steps to try to keep people safe. Even some popular tourist attractions are making modifications. In London, mounted soldiers are being relieved more frequently, and the changing of the guard at both Buckingham Palace and Windsor Castle have been suspended. In Paris, the Eiffel Tower closed early today because of the extreme heat. Schools and public services are being disrupted too, as Redmond Shannon reports.
Parisians are famously chic, but this week they're anything but cool. I didn't even have a coffee before I rushed here to buy a fan this morning, says this woman. But the extreme heat wave is no joking matter. The government has attributed dozens of drownings to the hot weather. This nuclear power plant switched off a reactor because the cooling water is too warm, and police believe 2 young children found dead in a car may have died from the heat. Here in the UK, the hottest weather has yet to come. Hundreds of schools are closing or finishing early in preparation for record-breaking heat. Like much of Europe, Britain is not designed for this new normal of temperatures. Air conditioning is still a rare luxury.
London isn't just calling, it's cooking.
UN Chief Antonio Guterres addressed London Climate Action Week Tuesday, as did Prince William. His Earthshot Prize champions innovation in climate action. He accepts our climate has already changed, but says we're not powerless.
The challenge can still feel immense, but the proof is now in front of us. And history will ask what we did with it.
The heat focusing minds of the delegates listening to him.
I don't think I've heard any speech this week that didn't start with a joke of we have a heat wave in London, and everybody can agree that it's a stark reminder of the world is warming up, the world is changing.
The forecast is that Britain's June temperature record could fall Wednesday and possibly again Friday. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
In Los Angeles, it's not another wildfire making headlines. It's a fire at a frozen food warehouse. It is still burning nearly a week after it started, sending thick smoke into the air, raising fears people nearby are being exposed to toxic chemicals. Jackson Prosco explains why firefighters are struggling to put the fire out.
For nearly a week, the noxious smoke has billowed across the Los Angeles skyline, choking nearby neighborhoods as firefighters struggle to contain the blaze.
It impacts me a lot. I've been in the house coughing up, had headaches.
It's believed the fire started in solar panels on the roof of the sprawling cold storage facility. It quickly spread to the building's thick insulation and the 35 million kilograms of frozen food inside.
So all of that can be a hazard. It was frozen, and as it's burning in fire and as the refrigerant is turned off, it's warming up, and all that can fall on the firefighters.
Heroic work by these guys. I mean,
firefighters have tried dropping water from the air and dousing it around the clock. Even with the blaze slowly coming under control, they warn the building and its contents could keep burning for days.
So I would anticipate this smoke for about 2 more days, possibly 3. But now we're going to extinguish the fire, and we're going to do that aggressively.
Whatever's left is burning.
2 years ago, a fire at a similar facility in Washington state smoldered for nearly 2 months. Nearby residents worry about what they've been exposed to.
I feel like all of us are getting affected badly. Like sometimes our eyes will be tearing up, our throats.
Though air quality in the area is now within safe limits, officials have handed out thousands of masks and air purifiers as a precaution. Many fear they'll face lasting consequences long after the fire is put out. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
We need your help. We're begging for your help. And I'm not going to miss that opportunity. And so please, if you're watching, no matter how small, the reward is there. You can tell us. It can be anonymous. Please do the right thing for us, for our family, for our children.
Today's show co-host Savannah Guthrie is making another emotional plea for any information about her mother's disappearance. It's been revealed a second ransom note sent days after Nancy Guthrie went missing said Nancy had died and those who took her did not mean to kill her. The 84-year-old was taken from her Arizona home in early February. The ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah is on shaky ground. Hezbollah is accusing Israel of violating it after 2 civilians were killed by Israeli gunfire in southern Lebanon. The IDF claims the men were terrorists pretending to be civilians. On Monday, Israeli troops began operating under new orders aimed at reducing the risk of violence flaring up. Roads in southern Lebanon were clogged with cars today as displaced people returned home. The ceasefire was agreed to on Friday. The Israeli attacks on Lebanon were undermining negotiations to end the war between the U.S., Israel, and Iran. Russia is considering an export ban on diesel after repeated Ukrainian strikes on Russian oil refineries. Ukraine's military says it has carried out further strikes in Russian-occupied Crimea, hitting a railway bridge and a power plant. The attacks have led to fuel shortages in Russia, and parts of Russia have put restrictions on fuel sales. Russia's president has called Ukraine's strikes a ploy to destabilize society. Kenya has ordered an immediate halt to the construction of a controversial American-backed Ebola quarantine facility. The decision comes a day after a court found the country's health minister in contempt for disobeying a previous stop work order. Kenyans have strongly opposed the project since it was announced in May, which led to deadly and violent protests. The site was intended to host Americans exposed to Ebola in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. More than 1,000 cases and more than 20 deaths have been recorded in the outbreak there. Kenya has not had any recorded cases. Stamping out the noise from the Stampede. Coming up, Calgary's attempt to keep things quiet at night and why the rule changes are drawing backlash.
Hi, I'm Mylene.
I'm Jonathan. We are just win 75 million Lotto
This brother and sister in Toronto are $75 million richer after winning the Lotto Max jackpot. Jonathan said they came to Canada for a better life and they will prioritize taking care of their families. Mylene said she used to make her living cleaning beautiful houses. This big win means she can clean her own new beautiful home. The city of Calgary is wrangling in late-night noise at this summer's Stampede. For years, the noise bylaws in Calgary were relaxed during Stampede, but officials now say weeknight concerts at festival tents will have to wrap up by midnight. Heather Yourex-West looks at why Calgary is making this change and the chorus of criticism.
It's a 10-day party where cowboy boots are mandatory and the city pulses around the clock. The Calgary Stampede generates hundreds of millions for the city each year, but it also leads to plenty of sleepless nights.
You can hear it. It's like that noise, that constant,
Noise from the Stampede grounds is expected, with the nightly stage show ending in a fireworks display around 11 each night. But away from the grounds, the 10-day event also features huge pop-up concert venues like this tent by Cowboys, built in the center of a residential portion of the downtown.
People need to sleep at night. okay? We have a right to sleep just as much as the people have a right to party.
For 10 days, it's not a problem. That's part of Calgary.
A pilot program introduced in 2019 allowed these tents to pump out music until 2 a.m. But after hundreds of neighborhood complaints, the city decided to return to 2018 rules, meaning during the week, concerts stop at midnight.
Right here at City Hall, we have sent a strong signal that we value people more than big money.
Since announcing the change, the city has faced pressure to back off. Looks like the fun police have struck again in Calgary, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith said on social media last week, a sentiment echoed by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, writing City Hall gatekeepers are making a big mistake.
Broadly speaking, the Calgary Stampede is often ground zero for politics and kind of a public policy discussion. So I'm not surprised that so many people have weighed in.
Politicians from all sides don hats and flip pancakes each year to campaign and fundraise, making it no surprise that so many are weighing in on the debate. But on this issue, the outside pressure fell flat.
The motion has been defeated.
In a special debate at City Hall Tuesday, Council voted to hold firm on its Stampede curfew. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.
A different kind of immersive art ahead. Why a gallery in New Brunswick says it's displaying a work some consider sacrilegious. Art is meant to provoke and make us think, and that's exactly what a piece of art at a gallery in New Brunswick is doing. It was created more than 30 years ago, and it's been criticized as blasphemous by some Christians. Heidi Petracek explains why the gallery is defending it and why the artist himself says critics are missing the point.
Everywhere this artwork goes, controversy follows. What first looks like a murky image of a crucifix takes a turn with its title because photographer Andres Serrano's Piss Christ shows the cross actually submerged in the artist's own urine.
It's been about 30 years since the work was last shown in a public institution in Canada.
Created in 1987, U.S. conservative groups have condemned the piece as offensive to Christians. And in 2011, the artwork was attacked by protesters in France, the glass still shattered. On the East Coast, the area's Conservative MP fired out a statement. This exhibit is what you would expect from a third-rate gallery hoping to be relevant, writes John Williamson. The Beaverbrook wet the bed with this one.
The fact that Piss Christ remains controversial is remarkable because most controversies go away.
Serrano considers himself Christian. He met Pope Francis in 2023. He says critics are missing the point.
Piss Christ, if it upsets you, it should upset you because the death of Christ was very upsetting. But he died for our sins. It's reignited the conversation around Christianity and art.
He is playing off the religious experience of, a beautiful religious painting. But then the reality of photography comes through.
The Diocese for the Fredericton area says it disagrees with censorship, but also writes, even if the artist's intention is provocation, the effect on believers matters. We hope for a culture where creativity and reverence can coexist. The artwork is at the gallery until the end of November for patrons to judge for themselves. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
World Cup Masterclass next. The history-making performances of soccer's biggest stars. No one puts on a rowing show quite like Norwegian soccer fans. They rushed to the Royal Palace in Oslo after their team secured their spot in the knockout stage of the World Cup. They said they wanted to wake up the king. They have got a big star on the team. 25-year-old striker Erling Haaland scored twice in their 3-2 win over Senegal. He scored 4 goals in just 2 games. Haaland's impressive start to the tournament has put him high on the list of favorites for the Golden Boot. That's the award given to the top goal scorer of the World Cup. As Eric Sorensen reports, there is some tight competition for that award this year as some of the game's biggest names put on history-making performances.
Another day, another colorful World Cup crowd, this time the Croatian community with a massive flag marching to Toronto Stadium. History is an overused word, but this World Cup has been a wellspring of firsts. The first World Cup on Canadian soil. In Toronto, the first point. In Vancouver, the first win. Jonathan David, the first 3-goal game.
You know, you feel the fan support, and that just gives you extra motivation, energy to go out there and to score that goal, to hear them cheer.
Most remarkable about this World Cup, the stars are out. The best players exceeding all expectations. Portugal's Ronaldo scored twice Tuesday, a record 6th World Cup in which he's scored. And then there's the incomparable. Lionel Messi scored his record 17th World Cup goal. His game so stylish, his goals seemingly effortless. He's a genius, Messi, she says. Fans appreciate they're witnessing something rare.
Messi's a beast. Messi came to get the record of most goals in the World Cup, and he got it.
Records are made to be broken. Brazil's Ronaldo broke the previous record with his 15th World Cup goal 20 years ago this week. He was overtaken by Germany's Miroslav Klose with his 16th goal in 2014. 12 years later, in one day, France's Kylian Mbappe scored twice to move into a second-place tie, and Lionel Messi moved to the top with his 17th and 18th goals all time. It is a special moment, says Messi, for all the people who experience it with us. Having his own standout World Cup, Mbappe. The records are falling, the tournament is building. Next, Canada needs a tie against the Swiss to win the group.
The worst way to get the draw is to play for a draw. We were going to start this match going into it with the mentality and the tactics to win.
A place in the knockout round awaits. More history for Canadian soccer standing by. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
That is Global National for this Tuesday. I'm Donna Friesen. Tonight's Your Canada is the Henry Larson Canadian Coast Guard Icebreaker in St. John's, Newfoundland and Labrador. We'd love to see Your Canada. Please email it to globalnational@globalnews.ca. And thanks for watching. Hope to see you here again tomorrow. Bye-bye.